welcome back. It is just about to turn 8:15. Halloween, if you don't know, just about 10 days away, and people really buy into the spooky season, and it may or may not surprise you. There is actually a science behind why people love the scary component of the holiday. Professor of psychiatry at Wayne State and author of Afraid: Understanding the Purpose of Fear and Harnessing the Power of Anxiety, Dr. Arash Javanbakht joins us live. So, doctor, thank you so much for being with us today. Why do people love to be scared? I guess that's my first question.
Thank you for having me. It's actually one of the paradoxical questions I was dealing with when I was writing the book, why people would go to a psychiatrist or a therapist and ask for help to not be afraid or not be anxious, and then go to a haunted house and pay to be afraid. And I think part is the biology. There's an overlap between the biology of fear and the biology of thrill, right? When you're excited, your heart is pounding, your attention is focused, you feel more alive, you feel more energized, all the feelings that you have when you are afraid, except the annoyance of it. So basically, in these conditions, we rile up the system and get it excited. It's like when you show the picture of a howling wolf to your dog on your TV and the dog gets riled up, but you're having fun. So the part of the brain that is more advanced, more logical, knows this is not real, but part of the brain doesn't know it is not real. And that part gets riled up and you enjoy the ride and the excitement. But for this, there needs to be a balance, right? It needs to feel real enough to excite and scare part of your body, but then not be too real, because if it feels too real, then you will be too terrified and you won't be able to enjoy the experience. And that's how some of these experiences are boring to some people, some are exciting to them, some other people are too terrifying. And let's say there's some parts of that haunted house or some certain movies that some people cannot watch because that is too much for them. There are
It's
also
interesting.
other. You go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask, it's interesting because it seems like you're describing there is, it's different from person to person. And I'm just wondering why it might be different from person to person for those that really enjoy the scare factor of it all, or, folks that just shy away from the scary stuff, the scary movies, the haunted houses altogether.
Absolutely, because we bring ourselves to the experience. I bring my biology. Some of us are more easily startled, some of us are less because of our biology. I bring my past experiences, whatever I have seen in the past. Let's say if I have been in war and now some gore images might be too much for me because of the experiences I've had. And then we bring our own imagination. So just one example, I was watching several years ago a zombie movie with one of my friends, and it was too boring for me because I was constantly, as a physician, thinking, well, these hearts are not pounding, so no oxygen is going to the muscles, and how are these muscles moving? And my friend told me, hey, you got to shut down your logical brain here, right? So you bring your interpretations, your imagination, your fantasies to the experience, and that's why for some people it can be more or less exciting or more or less terrifying.
Interesting. And for the folks that maybe do find the spooky season of Halloween terrifying, there are people that really do deal with fear issues. And in your book, you describe fear as something that can actually help us, and how people can use that fear and anxiety to their advantage. So what is that, and what can people do to use that and channel fear and anxiety to their advantage if, they're a little bit scared of this time of the year?
Yeah. So the first advice I always have is know your limits, because I don't have to do things that are not fun for me because of the peer pressure. Each of us know our own limits and we can go accordingly. But also, we can see this as an opportunity to push the boundaries a little bit. So I know my limits, but I can push my limits a little bit and get more of basically the ability to enjoy the things that I used to be terrified of. That's basically what we do in treatment, right? Exposure therapy. I gradually expose myself to what is scaring me until the fear reduces or goes away. And also, another part of this is biologically and historically, this is a practice for us also. When I'm watching a horror movie, I'm constantly thinking about, oh, what would I do if I was there? Or if I sometimes even find myself yelling at the actors in the movie, why are you going that way? You should be going that way. You should be using that tool. Why is that? Because my brain is constantly practicing and preparing me, thinking, what would I do? Because back in time, during the evolution, the world was a lot more scary, and having such practices would be helpful. Also, these experiences actually contradict, like it paradoxically can even sometimes help with the anxiety, because, and sometimes you see anxious people do thrilling activities or watch horror movies because within these experiences, you have a controlled experience of fear that distracts us from the fears and anxieties which are not under our control outside in the world. So basically, watching that horror movie while I have the remote in my hand and I have my friends next to me, I have full control of this fear experience, while a lot of anxieties out there might not be as controllable. So it's kind of a mindful respite from the things I cannot control. And sometimes, actually, the other way it can help is resets the fear. When you stand on the edge of a, let's say, Grand Canyon and looking at the bottom, what you see at the bottom is death. It's
Mm.
real danger. So when you come back from that experience, or in a simulation, I know some of these movies you have seen like horrible things happening. Now the anxieties that I have in my normal daily life fade compared to that real fear. So kind of these experiences sometimes also put fear in the context. Now I know what is really dangerous and what is less dangerous. In that way, they can help a little bit with the anxieties we have in the modern life.
Almost kind of reframing the fear or reframing the anxiety over whatever you might be afraid of or whatever you might be scared to tackle. You know, you mentioned something about exposure therapy, and I think that this probably, what your answer is going to be exactly what I'm going to ask here. But you've used technology like AI and augmented reality to kind of help with fear and anxiety in patients. How does that work? I mean, is exposure therapy part of that?
Yes, so we have basically we have a lot. We have developed this technology for our first responders first across the state of Michigan. The idea is that a lot of people with post-traumatic stress disorder, with social anxiety, and these conditions, they can't be around people. It's hard for them to be, let's say, even go to a grocery store. And one older solution would be for a therapist to go with them to the grocery store and gradually try to help them overcome those fears. But now what we do is that you wear these headsets. You might have heard of the Apple Vision Pro. These basically augmented reality headsets, which is different than virtual reality. You see the real world and you see digital humans. So we turn this room to a grocery store. We turn this room to a restaurant, and digital humans gradually walk in, and our patients can interact with them. This is and this is the same thing I was talking about, the animal brain and the real brain. They logically know there's nothing here. There's no digital creature in reality here, but the bodies are terrified. Heart rates go up, bodies get sweaty, chests get tight. But then gradually they adjust to this environment and the fear gradually subsided and people become less scared. And we see a lot of these people. I've had, let's say, the police detectives or firefighters who have not been able to leave their houses even for groceries or for years now go back, be able to be in the society and even go back to their activities.
It's really interesting, modern technology and how that's helped you guys advance how you treat maybe PTSD or, you know, just fear and anxiety in general. I want to go back to Halloween because, you know, it's 10 days away. What is your advice to folks who maybe don't like being scared? They find haunted houses creepy. They find those, you know, masks out there on the streets for trick-or-treating to be scary. What's one piece of advice that you would give to them if they're scared and they want to enjoy the season?
So if you hate it, just stay at home and watch whatever movie you want to watch or do whatever you want to do, play a game. If you are scared a little bit, but you're curious, push a little bit. Let's say go in a controlled way. When you have a sense of control, it's easier. When you know, okay, I'm gonna step outside my house for 10 minutes and I'm gonna come back in. Or I'm gonna watch this specific movie that I've read the script and I know it's not too terrifying for me, or I can watch it with my friends. Or I can go, oh, I may like haunted houses. Let me just go do an easy one with my friends. So basically, exactly know your limit. And remember, if you want to do this, this is to either expand your boundaries or enjoy. So if you're able to enjoy, do it. Otherwise, you don't have to. I don't have to do things that other people enjoy and I don't.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And if you don't like those movies or, you know, maybe just skip to the Christmas movies because that's what comes right after Halloween. All right, Dr. Arash Javanbakht, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.